the Howey test is extremely fact intensive and very nuanced. And so the question that a lot of people are asking in the Q&A, and we'll start with you, Bill, is will we ever be able to have regulators sort of pare down for us what decentralization means and look like in terms of some meaningful guidance? I'm not even asking about this SEC, but just from a concept of decentralization, the Howey test, and everything you've worked on in the past, and thinking about what's coming down the pipe. Is it something we can hope to see?
Hope springs eternal. So yeah, you can always hope. I think, and I sort of said this at the beginning, these tests are so broad and they're so qualitative that there will always be some uncertainty unless the regulators either give some real clear guidance, which we don't see happening for some time, or the legislature tries to draw some lines for people. In the meantime, if we're just dealing with today's law and the guidance that we have there, I'm not optimistic that it's going to be really clear that this will work and that won't work. People are going to need to weigh in with more. And as they weigh in, not to blame the regulators too much, they're always very worried that if they draw brighter lines, that people will go right up to the line. And, they may not capture something which in hindsight they wish they had. So they're always very reluctant to draw some bright lines. So it's more likely that we'll see something through legislation or maybe some court-made law where the SEC pushes something and the court disagrees. But it's hard to imagine a lot of good guidance coming out that made people feel like they had a super high level of certainty on some of these points. I think we're always going to come back to those general principles of, are people relying on somebody else, and does that somebody else have more information? And then wherever there's a situation where something goes wrong, there's a problem, then the SEC works very hard to apply these broad principles in a way to find a way to protect investors and to apply the law and say, that was enough, that looks like a security to us, and bring an action. And oftentimes they don't have to litigate those, they get settled. So, they feel like they're playing a role in protecting investors without ever necessarily clearing up the law enough for the people who are trying to follow the law and do good things. So it's a difficult environment for a while, and we all hope that the regulators and the legislators recognize the value of this and help us sort of navigate it. That will probably require some clear legislation and maybe some guidance from maybe